Algebra 2, Set 18, Ratio Word Problems and Similar Triangles. Okay, so a ratio is a comparison of two numbers. Ratios can be written as a fraction, and that's what we're going to talk about in this lesson. So the ratio of 3 to 4 can be written this way. It can also be written as 6/8, 300/400, 15/20, 27/36, or 111 148s, or many other different ways. A proportion is an equation, and the equation indicates that two ratios are equal. So an example of a proportion would be 3/4 is equal to 15/20. And when you have a proportion, you can look at the cross products. So I can say 4 times 15 and 3 times 20. Both of those equal 60. So we would say the cross products are equal. So proportions are helpful in solving when you have two ratios. So if I have this particular proportion, 4 is to 3 is 5 is to k, we can solve it using cross products. So 4 times k is equal to 3 times 5, which is 15. We divide both sides by 4 to get k is equal to 15 over 4. That's called cross multiplying. So we'll do an example. The ratio of Arabians to mixed breeds in the herd was 2 to 17. If there were 380 horses in the herd, how many were Arabians? So with these problems, you have to kind of list the three pieces of information that are given. First of all, we have Arabians and mixed breeds, but then we also have total number of horses. So we know we're given 2 Arabians to 17 mixed breeds, and we can find the total there. 2 plus 17 is 19. And then it says if there were 380 horses in the herd, so that's saying if there are 380 total, how many were Arabians? So we just put an A for Arabians. Now we can use a proportion to solve. 2 is to 19 as A is to 380. From here, we can cross multiply. 19A equals 2 times 380, or 760. Divide both sides by 19, and we find that A is equal to 40. Another example, it took 600 kilograms of sulfur to make 3,000 kilograms of the new compound. How many kilograms of other materials would be required to make 4,000 kilograms of the new compound? So we start out with sulfur, we add other materials to it to get the new compound. So we know we have 600 kilograms, and we know that the new compound had 3,000. So we fill in the blanks and find out that the other materials are 2,400. So when it says how many would be required to make 4,000, we need to know how many kilograms of other. So we'll put an X in for other, and now we can use a proportion. 2,400 over 3,000 is equal to X over 4,000. From here, you can simplify so that you're not dealing with such huge numbers. So I would cross out those two zeros. Same thing as dividing top and bottom by 100. And we have 24 times 4,000 is equal to 30 times X. Divide both sides by 30. And again, you can cancel out the zeros. And then I'm also going to say 3 goes into 24 8 times. So we have 8 times 400, which is 3,200, is equal to X. Okay, talking about similar triangles. If two triangles have the same angles, then they have the same shape, and then they look alike. So an example of similar triangles would be these triangles listed here. We have 3 triangles that all have the same angles, they're all the same shape, and they all look the same, they're just different sizes. When we look at the corresponding angles match up, and we have corresponding sides that are indicated by the blue tick marks. We also have what's called a scale factor. When going from the small to the large, from 3 to 6, our scale factor is 2. 5 to 10, and 7 to 14. We multiply by 2 to get the larger number. If we're going the other way, we're dividing by 2, so our scale factor would be 1/2. If we're going from the small to the medium-sized triangle, from 3 to 5, we would multiply by 5/3. 3 times 5/3 equals 5. And going backwards from 5 to 3, we would multiply by 3/5. And you notice that it works with all three. 35 over 3 times 3/5 is going to give us 7, and 25 over 3 times 3/5 would give us 5. So, the tick marks tell us that the two triangles are similar. Find the scale factor and then find x and y. So the first thing we do is we know 4 times the scale factor will give us 3, so the scale factor is 3/4. Then we just have to multiply each side by the scale factor to find out the corresponding variable. So 5 times 3/4 is equal to x, so x is 15/4. 7 times the scale factor 3/4 is y, so 21/4 is y.